Electrocast. Why take one vacation with the family when you could take all of them? With Royal Caribbean, you don't just go to the beach. You visit a private island and race down the tallest water slide in North America. You don't just go for a road trip. You ATV and zip line through the jungle. You don't just go somewhere new. You rappel down waterfalls and discover ancient temples. Because this isn't just any vacation. This is all the vacations. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
Welcome to Missing the Point. We're doing the Celtics again because it's playoff time. I'm injecting as much basketball into my veins as I can. It is the greatest reality show on television. You could probably take away the actual basketball part, and the narrative itself would be more than entertaining. I don't know if you guys have been following along with non-Celtics related basketball drama, but this Celtics series has enough to talk about, I think, to get us through an hour. But if we want to go talk about how Dylan Brooks shouldn't have fucking poked the bear, then
what the fuck is he? What is he thinking?
Fuck. But there is interesting storylines across most of these games. Obviously, the Sixers fucking handed out a 4-0 sweep. And the Celtics probably should have, if we're being honest. But last time we were on the show, it was me, Ray, and Mike. Bobby, welcome back. Today it's me, Ray, and Bobby. I am DK Sizzle. This is Missing the Point. And the Celtics are up 3-1, and the series is essentially over. I did say on the last show that we were going to 4-0 these motherfuckers because of how terrible they looked in Boston in games 1 and 2. You know, the obvious sort of truisms of basketball aside, I still think we should have won that game 3. Admittedly, it is in the NBA's best interest to extend the series. The Hawks had their back against the wall. They played really well. The Celtics, I think, played well in spurts in Game 3, and I think we should start with that before we move on to Game 4 and how happy we are with that, the latest performance last night. What did you guys think? Ray, we'll start with you. What did you think of that Game 3? Were you worried? Was there worrying signs? I know we have Game 4 to reflect on now, but what do you think happened? Was it Atlanta played really well, or was it Boston didn't step up? Was it that Game 3, like you said, is always on some bullshit? What do you think happened in that Game 3, and are you happy with the corrections we made?
So I think it was a mix of everything. It was just a perfect storm of what could have went wrong in that moment just did. You know, obviously they had a numerous amount of assists. They made over 23s, I believe, in Game 3.
Everything was fucking up. It was great.
Yeah, when you score that many points, usually, you know, you're going to win the game. But with Trae Young, as I mentioned, I thought he would go ballistic in Game 4 as opposed to Game 3. Well, actually, he did go ballistic in Game 4. It just wasn't enough. But, you know, I thought that we would see, you know, an uptick from him, you know, scoring wise. You know, DeJounte Murray, we'll get into him shortly about what happened for him and his status for Game 5. But, you know, he had been killing us, or he has been killing us all series. You know, and Game 3 was no different. So I just think that, you know, yeah, like you said, it was on his bullshit. You know, I think that certain calls were made that should have been called. I didn't, even though he does it well at times. I didn't love seeing Al Horford on Trae Young at times. You know, out there.
Yeah. I mean, with any sort of runway, you're going to want exactly a little bit of speed going backwards. Like, no knock on him, but.
Yeah, it looked like what I call a mixtape session. You know, it was a joke. So I was like, yeah, this is not ideal. So yeah, I'm glad that they figured it out in Game 4. But yeah, Game 3 definitely gave me, you know, cause for a little concern. Because I thought, okay, please take this team seriously, because if you don't, like, you can easily go back to Boston on Tuesday tied. Thankfully that wasn't the case, but just far as Game 3 went, yeah, I was annoyed with how the end process was, but like I said, they were able to right their wrongs.
Bobby, the Celtics really aren't playing defense against the Atlanta Hawks. They haven't really been doing it for 4 games. 3 out of those 4 games, it wasn't really a big deal, but I do think that there was, I guess, and I was saying this to Mike and Ray last time we did a show, it's not so much for me that the inability to execute defensively, it's that at very important times, they don't look like they're trying to play defense at all. And I think that sort of lack of effort is very concerning to me, because yes, are we the Sixers daddy? Of course, but we're not going to be able to do that if Joel Embiid is like getting to the elbow and scoring on us at will. We're going to need to defend everybody else. He might be able to do that no matter how good a defense we're playing. But as far as causes for concern that Ray was talking about, do you think that Game 3 was any indication of issues within this squad, or do you just think they're kind of like, we can outscore these fucking guys? Is it an attitude thing? I was saying on the last show, I'm enjoying how mentally locked in they are in general. I think that the stuff that comes out of the camp is always an indication with this Celtics team, because they're not very good at hiding their feelings from the media, which is good for us because we can kind of get a lens into like how everything's going over there. But are you concerned? Did that concern you? Or are you just thinking, I don't know, maybe they had a table reserved at a club in Atlanta. The nights out there are apparently great.
So it's a little bit of both, if you ask me. The effort thing is what is the most concerning thing to me. How at certain points in that game when we needed a big stop to really claw back into it and really make it, the game we thought it was going to be, where we pull away at the end, the defense just wasn't there. It was, not putting a hand in a dude's face, not making that extra rotation. Certain dudes just looked like liabilities out there at points. And that it wasn't even the second half, really. It was that first half, most noticeably the second quarter. I don't know what happened, if they just thought that they really were going to roll over them because, they didn't have to play in defense in the first quarter and just completely lost it in the first quarter. But second quarter, giving up 76 points to the Atlanta Hawks in the first half is fucking inexcusable.
Playoff record for points allowed for the Celtics, I think.
Bro, you can't do that, especially like we talked about before, when you were a historically great defensive team last year. It's like, listen, we know you have the pieces to do it. And it just seemed like they were so committed into trying to play a track meet with this Atlanta Hawks team, when that's the only way, literally the only feasible basketball sense for the Hawks to beat the Celtics is if it's a track meet and if they outscore them. I mean, obviously that sounds like a John Madden. They got to outscore them to win the game, but like literally the only way but the only way they're going to beat them is if it's a 130 to 122, exactly what it was. It's got to be over 120, and both teams are going to be shooting like 50 to 60%. If the Celtics play their game and they play half-court defense, they should beat this Hawks team by 20 points every single night. And I think when you see the Celtics play at their top game, that's so evident. You know what I mean? Like the fourth quarter yesterday, we just absolutely waxed the floor with them. They thought they were back in it, and the Celtics were just like, no, bro, come on. Let's get out of here, and let's go back to Boston 3-1.
Yeah, that's a good transition. Ray, let me ask you about Game 4. Did it alleviate your fears and your issues that sort of maybe might have cropped up in the paranoid section of your brain about the Celtics team? The way they were very professionally getting the job done, I thought, on Sunday night in Game 4. And I think, for me at least, I mean, I don't know about you, but for me at least, we didn't talk in between Games 3 and 4, but I was pretty adamant that if we were going to go into that game and it was going to wipe away the fears that I had for Game 3, they needed to do it professionally. They needed to do it very emphatically. And they needed to do it because, as much as I still think we'd win the series if we came back to Boston 2-2, I'd be pissed because we really are too much for this Atlanta team. Like, we just are too much for them. And I'm glad that we went out there and showed that. So are you still worried about the holes we might have shown in Game 3, the lack of defensive effort and prowess, or did Game 4 do enough to take that away for you?
Yeah, I think it did enough for me to believe that this should be over tomorrow night as we record this on a Monday night. Once again, like we've all alluded to, when they want to turn it on, especially against a team like this, not much is going to matter. And if Tatum's getting 30, if Brown's getting 30, if, Marcus Smart's going to get, drop 19, if Brogdon's going to get 15 off the bench, and also hit, make timely plays, like it should be a wrap. So yeah, I love how they went out. Once again, I think it was only like 2 or 3 lead changes. Last night, I think they took the lead early on, like I think in the first quarter, and they did not trail since. So, I mean, to me, it was just a matter of, okay, they're going to have runs. You withstood it. Great. You didn't let them get all the way back in the game and even surpass you in the game, late in the game. So, yeah, I think they did enough to ease my fear. Once again, they got stops when they needed to, and that's all you can hope for. Because once again, this new era of NBA, guys are going to score. Like, it's not going to be 120 to 95 always. We've seen a couple games, in other series that it was like 95-80 and, 101 to 92 type thing. But it's like,
this is the first round though, right? I mean, it's like, you're getting teams.
Yeah, it's happening. Yeah.
It's not going
the
to happen
talent.
with a third round playoff spot where you got, elite teams going against each other in the modern NBA. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So yeah, the talent level's out there, but no, like I said, to answer your question, they did enough to ease that, and once again, it should be a wrap come Tuesday night.
Yeah, we're going to talk about individual Celtics like we always do, assessments of each player, but I do want to touch on a couple things before we start that. I'm a big DeJounte Murray fan. I really like his game. I think that Jaylen Brown can go one-on-one with pretty much anybody relative to his size, defensively and offensively. I truly believe that about him. I still think he's a very underrated player. I think DeJounte Murray was giving him a lot of problems. I was thinking at times the way he was able to take him either side, the way he was baiting him into foul trouble a lot, and Jaylen was making Jaylen make a lot of stupid decisions in Game 4. So I also think he's fiery. I think he cares about the game. I'm just a fan of his game. I like players like that. We've been talking about basketball long enough to know the archetypes that we all like. And usually I'm kind of a wiry big man type guy, but I really like DeJounte Murray. I really do. I personally think that suspension that is now official for Game 5 is soft as fuck. I think, I get you can't touch the refs. Like, I understand. I'm not sure what he said to him, but it's like, I don't know, man. It's playoff basketball. They just lost a game. If he didn't feel like they called the game in their favor, that's fine. If I was a Hawks fan, or if I was a Hawks coach, or if I was a fellow Hawks player, I'd be pissed at him right now. I would, for making a dumb decision. But Ray, what do you think of that suspension? I mean, aside from the fact that it's like, yeah, well, whatever, dude, you touched a ref, like, you're out. Is that how it should be, or is that just some soft shit? It's playoff basketball, right? Or am I being too easy on him?
Why take one vacation with the family when you could take all of them? With Royal Caribbean, you don't just go to the beach. You visit a private island and race down the tallest water slide in North America. You don't just go for a road trip. You ATV and zip line through the jungle. You don't just go somewhere new. You rappel down waterfalls and discover ancient temples. Because this isn't just any vacation. This is all the vacations. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
I do think there's some bias there, like you just mentioned being a fan. I do think, yes, I didn't love the suspension either, but it's like, once again, and it was early in the season, but I remember in Chicago when it happened with Grant got him. It really just kind of brushed past him. It wasn't something where he pushed him out the way.
Right.
He kind of brushed past him, and he got suspended for a game, got fined or whatever.
That was in play though, right? Like, that was in play.
Well, yeah, it was after the foul, yeah. So,
it's like, I don't, it's a little different. Yeah, I get what you mean though.
Right, a little different. It's just like, so that's like, you can't seek the content. And I think that's what the issue was. Like, he sought it out. It's one thing if you just barked at the ref and cussed him out, fine, whatever. He might have got fined for that, but whatever. Like, you're not going to get any further repercussion. But yeah, you can't bump into his face WWE style and get into his face and think that they're not going to reprimand you. Honestly, if we want to take a comedic route to it, to me, he's already ready for Cancun, and I get it. He caught the Celtics flu early and said, you know what, man, them pina coladas, that white Hennessy in Cancun is going to look, it's going to taste.
I mean, he knows the series is over. He knows.
Yeah, he knows. He knows. So I would have done the same thing if I know it's over. Why am I going to get cooked in Boston? I'm going to go enjoy my vacation. He probably brought the lemon pepper wings and the Hennessy down to enjoy his summer.
Bobby, what do you think of that suspension?
I think it's soft as hell. I want to beat them full strength.
Right.
To be honest, I don't want the excuse of like, without DeJounte, who knows? Because no, I don't want to.
We know though. We know.
To go off what Ray was saying too, I also think he might be getting a little sick of playing next to Trae Young, because as talented as that dude is, man, he's got to be the most frustrating, talented guard I've ever seen play basketball in my entire life.
I'm sorry. Did you not watch Kyrie Irving play? Did you just miss that entire era in Boston? Most frustrating guard? Okay, cool.
Hey, number.
But still, bro, he's so frustrating to watch. And
I mean, his game is frustrating. I get that. Kyrie is frustrating in other ways.
But I thought the best part about this game was that Tatum and Brown, honestly, weren't that big of factors in the first half, and we still looked like the much more dominant team. You know what I mean? What did Jalen have, 7 at half? And he was playing garbage. He took off the mask, and it was a whole different ball game. But the fact that we were able to weather that storm And the guys who were making the big plays, right, down the stretch weren't Tatum and Brown. They weren't the ones making those plays that really, to me, were the biggest plays of the game. You have the Marcus 3 at the ends of the half, and then the Marcus slam dunk late in the third quarter. I think, was it late in the third quarter or beginning of the fourth quarter?
It was at the end of the third. Like that. Now they were up 3. He dunks it, and they go up 92-87. I thought that was the biggest play.
And then Jalen hit a 3 the next possession down, and that was ball game from there.
Yeah.
So it's good to see, because that's exactly what we needed last year, right? You know, Jalen and Tatum can do that heavy lifting, but when it comes to those moments, you need your role players to be able to step up in those moments. The Grant Williams, the Al Horford, and last night to me it was Marcus. So I just love how we can see those role players making those big moments.
Yeah, I think it's a good transition to start talking about individual players, and I think we will start with Marcus Smart.
And just follow the transitions tonight, huh?
I love it. It's this kid's like a TikTok creator. He's got transitions everywhere. But you know, Marcus Smart, I think, Bobby, I think it was last time you and I were on a show together. You were talking about the better rotation essentially being, and I agree with you to a certain extent when you like White and Malcolm Brogden out on the floor together more than Smart these days. And I countered it with the idea that like Marcus always steps up in playoff time, and we are going to need him in key moments. And I think we've seen that over the course of this series, and we will for the remainder of the playoffs. I think my favorite part of that dunk is that no, go situation that I think we were all in. I don't know about you guys, but like when the clock was winding down, I thought he hadn't gone in time yet, because I hate when we go on 7. I always like to go on 9. Maybe I'm a traditionalist. Like if you got to start running the play at the minimum 9 seconds, right? Jaylen Brown comes over, I think to get maybe a screen for a pick and pop.
Yeah, he
waves Jaylen Brown away, right? Mm-hmm. Which is like kind of crazy in and of itself. Because Marcus knows what I don't know. Because I'm going, why are you waving Jaylen Brown away? Fucking go! The clock's fucking ticking. I'm getting pissed, right? Because I know how important.
If I'm not mistaken, Marcus missed a 3 earlier in the possession too. Sure. Wasn't this off an offensive rebound too? I think.
But the clock was winding down. He waves Jaylen Brown off. And what Marcus knows that I didn't know at the time is that Bogdanovich is defending him. And he's like, if I have a run on this guy, I fucking have him. I have him. He's a Big Mac because I cooked his ass up. And I didn't know that, but Marcus knew that. He started left, which is super clever, right? He kind of baited him in to guard him over the left-hand side, switched hands, went right, and then just sprinted. And he had 2 steps on him by the time he got to the basket. And it's like, dunk that shit. Like, don't go for a layup. Like, he knows. Like, and I think the intelligence and the veteran presence of a Marcus Smart is what kind of defines the nuance of a situation like that, because he knows to dunk it, because like that's a momentum getter in a situation like that. He knows he has Bogdanovich on fucking skates if he wants. And then to have the kind of Marcus Smart attitude of waving away the kind of co-captain, second best player on the team, Jaylen Brown, who's having a good game at that point. You know, like you said, he didn't have a great first half, but he had already started playing really well in the third quarter. I was pretty proud of it, because there's a version of Marcus Smart that does that, and it doesn't come off, right, of a few years ago. But now when he makes those choices, they're a little bit more intentional. They're a little bit more spread out. And when he does it, they're in big moments. So, Ray, can you speak to the idea of a Marcus Smart, especially now in the era of a Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon backcourt that provides a lot of different options and doesn't necessarily rely on him as much in the guard position? You know, how do you think he did across those 2 games that we've been talking about, and what kind of a player do you need him to be going forward?
Oh, he wants it. Like you could tell that he wants it, and you could tell early on with Marcus where he's at. So if he's missing a lot of shots, turn the ball over, like for whatever reason, he's just not engaged. But when he's, up on you defensively, when he gets a couple threes to knock down, or he gets a layup, off a steal or whatever, because he calls a turnover, like that's when okay, we're getting the good Marcus tonight. And when you get good Marcus, like we did for most of the playoffs last year, it was game over, immediately. So like
could we start calling it playoff Marcus? Are we at that point?
Sure.
Why not? We might be, bro. We might be.
I mean, even think about what sparked the great rivalry between you two. The 2020 playoffs against Toronto, right? Toronto was giving it to us. And all of a sudden, Marcus hits not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 threes in a row. In that
is that a LeBron James interview reference?
He went ballistic. So from then on, it was like, oh, okay, like this is what he can do when like he's just a gamer, and he for the most part always understands the moment. And I think that he was one of the few players from the get go that was like, look, he had your mindset, Dave. He's like, yo, I'm gonna end this shit Sunday. I'm not trying to come back to. If I'm coming back to Boston, it's because we're getting treatment and we're with our families, and then we're getting ready for Philly either on Saturday or Monday. Well, now they win tomorrow on Tuesday, then they'll play Philly Saturday. If they lose, then it should be May 1st, which is next Monday.
Philly Saturday. We're playing Philly Saturday.
Yeah,
Philly's prepping for a Saturday game.
I just he's such a tone setter.
I'm prepping too, but needless to say, like he's like I said, yeah, he's been awesome, and like I said, he set the tone with that dunk last night, because that took it almost took the one out the sales. Like they had a little bit of a run, and then I don't even think that it was the kind. I know you said it was the irrational confidence thing about waving off Jalen. Like you said, you got Bogdanovich. One because he you can't stay in front of him. That's one. Two, Bogdanovich was in foul trouble, so it's knowing, okay, if he does press me, if he touches me, all I gotta do is fall back. They're gonna call the foul. Either I get the N1 or I'm gonna get the free throw. So I think that's just a high IQ play in that moment.
It was so many parts of it were such a high IQ play, honestly. Like it really
exactly.
was.
So I give by you, I gambit on you, and okay. Now we go to the fourth.
But even the fact that he went like back to basket right by the half court line, to just try to bait him into the other side because he knew he was going to be able to turn him and get that step. I mean, like that is like I guess it's weird because you don't really have like a concept of time. Like in my head, because I'm like worried about getting old, I keep thinking we just drafted Marcus Smart. I'm forgetting that he like is the veteran player, like him and Al Horford are like maybe the. Yeah, so it's like it's been a while. Like he's been in a lot of playoff situations. A lot of these guys have, and I think you're really starting to see that, especially with this core together. But Bobby, talk to me about Marcus. I know you're saying he is a tone setter. He's a player made entirely of intangibles a lot of the time, And as much as you were saying to me last time we talked that, and I agree with you to a certain extent, like how well the backcourt's working, like when Brogdon's on the floor, how well he plays off Derek White, how well Derek White's been playing. You have to see this playoff Marcus thing now, right? I mean, geez.
Oh yeah. I mean, 8 of 14 from the floor, 3 of 8 from 3, and those aren't regular Marcus Smart numbers in the regular season that we see. You know what I mean? And I think where else you see it too is not just with Marcus, but also in the play of Derek White and Malcolm Brogdon, where there was one play specifically that stood out to me with Derek White, the charge that he took. I forget who he took it on, but it was such a Marcus Smart-esque play to be able to get there, set the feet before the dude even knew what was happening. Derek White was in front of him drawing that charge. It just was so Marcus Smart. It reminded me so much of that James Harden charge back in the day, where it was like, listen, the guy didn't have a chance. He didn't have a chance. That was an offensive foul no matter what he was doing. And those are just the type of things I think that just permeate throughout the entire team. When Marcus is going and when he has that swag is when you see White and Brogdon pick it up their games. And I feel like I didn't necessarily see it as much in the regular season, but when the playoff atmosphere is intensified and those lights are shining down there, he just stands out so much more. You know what I mean? He really does.
And also, just to talk about our backcourt in general, I think we should just go through all of our guards and the games that they have. There's not a ton of redundancy in their games. And I think it really adds to how well constructed this backcourt actually is. Obviously our wings and let's not do the fucking, I'm a random ESPN commentator and I'm going to talk about how the Boston Celtics are unique because we've never seen 2 wing players play. It's okay. We get it. We've been talking about this for like 4 fucking years. Like we understand the wings are like unique and they're both very good. And we will get to the fact that those 2 guys were very dominant in a more specific way. But the backcourt, I think, is really showing out in the sense that if you are the opposing team and you go, okay, let's try to limit Derek White's ability to kind of floor general and okay, we can't speed him up, but like maybe we can push him out. Maybe we can force him to shoot contested threes. Maybe we can do this. If that happens and Malcolm Brogdon's on the floor, he's able to just like, he's like the sneakiest off-ball player ever. And he's also super sneaky when he has the ball. It's like, I feel like it's like
when you have slow, like but so quick.
But in the NFL when you have like a running back who's like 4 inches shorter than a normal running back, and the guys are having a harder time tackling him because he's like below the line of sight. It's like that's sort of how I feel like Brogdon plays. He plays super low. Yeah, the way he dribbles, like I never know what he's going to do, so I'm sure it's very frustrating for the other team to try to guard him. He had a great game 4. I really enjoyed his game 4. I thought that was vintage peak Malcolm Brogden. And yeah, him and Derek White both have a floater. Sure. They both can score from different ranges. Sure. But their games are still very different. And Marcus Smart is different than almost every guard in the league, right? The way that he plays, his intangibles, the way that Ray was saying, if you get good Marcus, you get steals, you get he's diving for an inbounds pass on a normal inbounds pass.
That was dope. That was dope.
It was the best. I know
that was the best player in game 4. Best player in game 4 by far.
But yeah, the fact that our backcourt can throw, and we talked about this last year, and we didn't even have as good of a backcourt, but the whole team, especially the backcourt, can throw so many different looks at a team. And I don't even think we've really gotten out of second gear in this round 1. So, Ray, could you take this opportunity to talk about the backcourt, how it's constructed, and most specifically, the White-Brogdon tandem that teams just can't really seem to deal with?
Yeah, I'm going to steal a line from you. I think you used, on a previous show. Derek White having a pull-up 3 in his game was not on my bingo card.
Yeah, right.
It just wasn't. Like I said, I've talked notoriously about the floater, about him getting to the cup, but him having that pull-up 3, I did not see that coming at all. And that just adds another dimension to his game. Also, Brogdon is probably the best 3-point shooter out of the 3 of them, obviously. So it probably goes Brogdon, White, then Smart there. I think Smart is more of the streakiest of the 3, so that when he gets hot, it's just he gets crazy hot.
Marcus is also the ballsiest of the 3, so he might make big across the course of the playoffs because he's just fuck it.
Yeah, and you need that mentality at times, but to answer your question about just really the Brogdon and White dynamic, they have made our wish come true with playing them a little bit more. Remember, that's something we had talked about as soon as that trade had happened, that I wanted to see them on the floor because that should be a part of their closing lineup. And obviously everyone can't play at the same time. I would love to see a 3-guard lineup at times where it's maybe you move Tatum to the 5 and put Brown at the 4. And once again, this would have to be
not against this Hawks team, though, right? That's more if we start.
No, yeah,
I think,
yeah, can't do it the next round. Say it again.
Just if we come up against a Philly, I don't know if I love that because we're gonna get murdered on.
Embiid would have to be on the bench. Embiid would have to be on the bench. I would never do that with him.
Sure. Or if we're really trying to beat him on speed and the transition plays working, then maybe we could do it. But yeah,
Embiid's looking a little gassed, maybe.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. If Paul Reed's out there, Paul Reed was phenomenal in the final game against Brooklyn. I don't know if you watched that game, but he won them that game. Brooklyn was on their heels, and then Paul Reed was like, "I'm going to channel my inner Joel Embiid," and he got 15 rebounds off the bench. I was like, "Wow, this
my time to shine."
Yeah, my time to shine. Yeah, so he was great. But so yeah, that's the only time I would have that type of lineup. But yeah, only because I just love how they all play. I want to see them 3 together with Tatum, with Brown, and just see them have a track me. I know Bobby said don't have a track me, but I think they would run teams off the floor with them 5 out there, honestly, and it would get ugly pretty quickly.
If we're playing Golden State, right? Say somehow Golden State makes to the finals again, and we needed to actually make a move to because they're
Sacramento too.
Yeah, sure. I don't think Sacramento's going to make it because I don't know if you guys saw a very key injury for them today. Yeah. But I think if we're playing a team like Golden State and they were trying to run us, right? If they were doing that Golden State thing where it's Jesus Christ, how is the ball at the other end of the floor already? I think that would be a lineup that could augment that, right? Draymond Green would all of a sudden just look like a fucking traffic cone out there if we did that to them, right? So I think that would be cool. I'd be super into that. I'd be nervous to do it with a team that has size like Embiid or Giannis or something like that, or Jokic or anything like that. But otherwise, yeah, that'd be fucking cool. If we come up against a track star team, that would be pretty sweet.
Broken finger on the shooting hand, huh?
No, nothing you can do about that.
It still had 40.
40, yeah, it still had 40 last night.
Yeah, he's great.
He's
great. Fast as fuck, boy. But let's talk about Rob Williams. You were mentioning to us, Ray, I think earlier in the group chat, was that maybe his best game as a Celtic? That game 4. I mean, I think he's had a great series so far, to be honest with you. But it could be. I think I said the phrase Robert Williams ceiling more times in the first couple of years of this podcast than any other phrase, and I think knock on wood, we're starting to see it, man. I was bitch moaning and complaining about his load management at the end of the regular season, but it seems like they were just kind of keeping him in the fucking kennel, ready for him to just like come out raging. And I think that's what's happening. I think he was definitely the only thing that I can offer as an explanation for how much his game has gone up is that he was taking it easy in the regular season to try to keep his knee healthy, to try to, everything, like not play too hard. He's playing hard. He's playing smart. And he's playing fucking great, When
he's rolling offensively, that offense is literally impossible to stop. When that floater is going up, there's literally nothing the other team can do to stop Robert Williams and the rest of this offense. It's the lob. That's the word I was looking for. When the lob is going to Rob, there's nothing anyone can do to stop it.
I was saying to Ray and Mike on the last show, it's like nobody wants to fucking learn the sky hook. Like, I don't understand why. It's like an impossible shot to guard. But like only one guy ever did it. It's like, call him up, Rob Williams. Call him up. He'll teach you how to do it. Like, he will. Because he just needs, I just like, imagine if he just had that one last thing, which is that like elbow right around the basket type of shot that you can't really stop, because he could do it with that length. I know he's only 6'9", and we always forget that because he plays like he's fucking 8 feet tall. But he needs that one last thing. But that's no slight on the game he's been having, because you're right. Like, players can literally just be like, oh, Rob's beat that guy to the basket by a step, lob it up.
It's over. Yep.
It's over. And he's also playing super hard. I mean, I get nervous though, Ray. Do you get nervous watching him like go up for big swats and hitting the deck though? Because he really has put his body on the line in this series from time to time.
So the play that had me nervous was, anyway, actually, he was actually upright for this one, but the play that he kicked it out to Jalen, like, I thought, I don't know who was I don't know who was on the baseline, but I thought they were going to run into him, and I got nervous. I was like, whoa, like, just move away. Don't fall around the leg. Don't fall to the shoulder. Don't do anything. But,
those 3 possessions, man, were unbelievable.
Unbelievable. But gets the rebound, kicks it out to Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown hits the 3 from the corner office, and
game.
It was game.
Well, even the play before that too, where it was almost the same exact play, except Jalen dished it down to Rob, and Rob went up for the dunk.
Oh, right, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, and I know we're going to go to jail, but that just made me think about it. Those back-to-back assists that he had in the quarter when the game was kind of teeter-tottering, those are 2 of the best plays I've seen Jalen make his whole career. And that made that people could say, oh, he's engaging hyperbole. That's fine. That's cool. Keep listening. But if you walk back what you saw in that final quarter from Jaylen Brown, once again, we've lamented about the ball handling. We've lamented about the turnovers. Those back-to-back plays where he's under control with the messed up hand, we know what's going on with the orbital bone. The man was locked in and made the right play after right play after right play. So that was just phenomenal to see. But like I say, Rob's effort, and once again, we said it on the previous show. I've said it, like I said, it's been said on other shows and other platforms. No Rob, no ring. When he's at the level that he's at, this team, like you said, Bobby, it goes to another dimension, another level, another place, with stratosphere, whatever word you want to use. He's just that good. And like I said, I love that he's coming off the bench still. Joe, do not change the dynamic. I understand that Philly is coming. I get it. And it's going to be very daunting and taunting, whatever, to, want to put them together. I don't know. I just like how this dynamic is. Once again, you can still switch it up and keep those 2 guys, him and Horford out there. Excuse me. But I just like this dynamic of having Brogdon and Rob come off the bench, because once again, those 2 alone make you better than any second unit in the league. Yeah.
On that note, Al Horford maybe hasn't had across the entirety of the series as big of an impact as maybe we thought he would. Mm-hmm. I'm personally not super worried about that. I think that the way that these games have played out, the way that we match up against this team specifically, has a lot to do with that. I still think he's made some big threes. I still think he's made some big defensive plays. I still think his veteran presence is essential to the success of this team. Are you guys worried at all about Horford's performance? And on that note, I'm glad you brought it up, Ray. I want to talk about the double big lineup that brought us so much success in last season's postseason. And it was those 2 guys. And now you have a guy in Rob Williams who's maybe 1.5 times the player he was come last season's postseason. he was playing a little bit hurt, granted, but I think his game has gotten better too in a year's time since last April. But that double big lineup, I disagree with you slightly in the sense that it's like don't mess it up. It's like I would actually like to see the double big thing right out of the gates against Philly, because Embiid's like that dude right now. Like he really is. Like he's so fucking hard to guard, and like we saw that in the last regular season game we played against them because he was just able to get whatever he wants. That could happen. We have to try to limit it early, though, right? I mean, before we switch to an idea of, whatever, he's going to get whatever he wants. Let's make sure nobody else kills us. Let's at least try to limit him and frustrate him with that double big lineup would be my suggestion. I do understand the momentum factor that you're talking about and the sort of organic way that they're meshing together at the moment, and also the minutes not adding up as much on Rob Williams is helpful.
But that's my only what's the word? And that's my only concern. Like it's just like if you're just still dominating and he's only playing 25 to 28 minutes, that's golden. Like
yeah,
like that is. I know you want 30 plus from him, and I get that. And
I mean, it is golden. It is best case scenario. I just don't know how realistic
right now,
that is against Philadelphia.
Sure, but I think for me, granted, he's probably going to be out there to finish the game anyway. So it's like if you limit what he does in the first half,
sure, and
then put up in the second half, cool. Like I'm fine with that as well. But it's funny because you just spoke to my mindset. I'm of the mindset, fine, okay, B, go get 45. But PJ Tucker, you ain't doing nothing. Tyrese Maxey, you ain't doing anything. James Harden is Mr. Jekyll and Hyde. We can say we want, but he doesn't. He's a Hall of Famer. We get it. Great player.
I would be pretty surprised if he plays every single game in the next series. Also, to be honest with you,
I'm sure he would. We
might not notice he's playing.
We might not notice. That's what I'm saying. He'll be out there.
The ghost of Christmas past.
He'll be out there. But no, yeah, he's Mr. Jekyll and Hyde. Like that. There's no
trick or treat
issue saying that. Once again, phenomenal player, great talent.
Not the same guy anymore, though. I mean,
he's not the same guy. Now, Maxey is a guy I'd worry about personally. I'm how you feel about DeJounte Murray. That's how I feel about Maxey. I think Maxey,
I like him too.
You know, so I think that he's somebody that's a gamer. So yeah, if you kind of
make some scrappy cards.
Yeah. So if you limit what's around, Embiid, and yeah, like it should. But once again, totally understand your premise. You're not wrong. I'm gonna say we just see it differently in that moment, but. Like I said, the continuity is there. I just, from a rhythm cadence standpoint, I just like what I've seen and want to keep it that way until you have to change it.
Yeah, the only thing that scares me about the double big lineup, and we saw it a little bit in the last game, is the offense gets really stale, really fast when it's double big.
Are you talking about in reference to last season's postseason though, or
no, last game? Well, I mean, I guess we didn't really see it as much last game.
We didn't really see it as much, and I think that the issue with when the offense got stale last season was we didn't have, like, we always used to talk about the kill the game Celtics, like the slow down the clock Celtics, like they were the worst version of the Celtics last postseason. I don't think that's the case anymore because of Derek White.
Yeah,
like, I think that if
the pick and pop is so deadly now this year, so yeah,
like we're going to need to be able to kill games better, and that was a definite bullet point coming into the season. Or the postseason, I should say, we are able to kill games better, and our guard play is why, and I think you can put those two guys out there. I'm not saying like as much as last postseason. Like I think a big part of why we were doing that is because there was like a lot of fucking minutes in everybody's legs. Jalen and Jason were fucking exhausted by the time we got to the finals, especially Tatum, and I think it was like, okay, we can run this and we can kind of still push and beat on other teams. Push them around, like be a little bit more athletic than them in the front court, like all that stuff. I don't think we're going to need to do it as much. We don't like play the same way, but we're going to be able to need to do it, right? Like we're going to need to be able to do it. Like we're going to have to be able to pull it off. And I think that I agree with you, Bobby. I've seen that happen with the stagnant offense. We are much better defensively when we do it, obviously. But I think Derek White, what you do for me, and I would love to see this, and this will transition us into talking about Joe Mazzulla, because this isn't a criticism of Joe, but what I would love to see is, and it is maybe a little bit late in the game to start developing something like this, but if Al and Rob are out there, put Derek at the 1 and have neither Brogdon or Smart out there and put everybody else around him and just let him do an old school point guard routine. Let him use the entire... Yeah, I mean, but in a way that he gets to actually call plays, he gets to actually run stuff, the guys who are setting screens are not early guys, they're later guys. Like they're the front court guys. Like have Al come and set a screen, have Rob come and set a screen, and then open up those lanes and then drive and dish, so that by the time you're shooting high percentage shot, there's 3 to 4 seconds left on the shot clock. That's how you kill the game, and that's not we were not able to do that last season at all. We were fucking terrible at it.
Can I? So that kind of actually leads me into another question too.
I like that actually. I like it. So,
yeah, I like that a lot. So I have a question so it kind of leads back to what I was saying before, is why is it at times? So I don't know if either you guys can even answer this, but why is it at times that this offense does feel like they either stop calling plays, or I don't know what happens. Is it they do get back into that ISO ball sometimes, and it just feels like they either run out of plays to run, or they just decide that they're going to do it for a few minutes. Because honestly, as soon as they get back to their pick and pops, and as soon as they get back to their double screens, the ball starts floating and they start scoring again.
Honestly,
it just hits these moments where it just gets so stagnant.
I know what you mean. I don't think they last as long, and I don't think they happen in as damaging of circumstances as they used to. But I do know, and I do know what you mean, because we're all sensitive to it, because we watch this team do it and fail, and ruin series. But I think what it is, and this is a thing that kind of occurred to me. I'm glad that you put on the talking point list, Ray, talking about Joe Mazzulla, because I think he does, which was annoying all of us in the regular season, I think it's occurred to me what actually he's doing. Yeah, he's better with timeouts. Like, yeah, his rotations are better. Okay, cool. I think he's saying to this team, you figure it out. You figure it out. This is happening. Figure out on the court what we're going to do. If I need to fucking call a timeout and come back and bring you back and babysit you into what you already know how to do, which is like control the fucking game. You're better than these guys. And I think he actually is staying in the pocket and holding on to his balls a little bit because he knows we're that much better than this Atlanta team. I think maybe when we're playing Philly, maybe when we're playing Milwaukee, or maybe it's Miami, probably not, but like maybe it fucking is in that next round. I think it's a little bit more like, okay, traditionally we got to fucking call a timeout. We got to figure this out. I think to trust the players and let them fuck that up for a little bit and let them get a little bit into that hero ball for a second, and then trust them to get themselves out of it, because they should know to do that at this point. I think that's what he's trying to do. I think that's what he's trying to do, honestly. I think he's going, come on, guys, you're out there. You know what you should be doing. I could be wrong, but I even asked the question, I was thinking that Joe was trying to do that.
I think that's valid. And yeah, it makes sense to do that in a regular season as opposed to doing it now, trying to figure that out now.
Sure. But he kind of was, right? Like he wasn't really
it was infuriating, because it's like, yo, it's like I need you to call a fucking timeout, because this is ridiculous. But
yeah, he called a couple quick ones in game 4. He did. He called
a couple late ones too, though. There was a couple late ones too, though.
Yeah, I love what he said on the sideline at times. Like I loved, what he said to them in the locker room too. So unless we know that he actually does have an actual voice, because that was my biggest concern.
Sometimes I am surprised when I hear him talking. I'm like, oh, that's what you sound like?
I love that game too. When they're, I think it was game 1 or game 2. They asked him, so what are you going to do to prevent the letdown in the second quarter? He's like, I don't know what the fuck you just watched, but that was a pretty big goddamn letdown in the second quarter. And I was like, okay, Joe. All right, bro.
Yeah, and then he did the Bill Belichick in game 3. Yeah. Did you hear that? Where they were like, what do you got to do better? Like, blah, blah. He was like, rebound. Yeah. They were like, and then what? And he's like, play harder. And they're like, thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
He's like,
no, it's awesome.
Okay, see you later.
even I think even coming into this series, they was like, I don't know if it was like Gary Washburn or whoever, someone from the Globe, had asked him like, oh, like, what do you want to improve on? He was like, calling timeouts. So like he knows that that's been a running theme that ourselves and other talking shows have talked into the ground, and will continue to do so if it rears its ugly head. But like I said, listen, he is definitely improved in the series. I think, Bobby, what you said during our preview show was spot on, that this was the perfect series for him to kind of get those, iron those, those kinks out. Like, what can you do against Quinn Snyder? Because once again, Quinn Snyder obviously is a heck of a coach. But it's just like, once again, he doesn't have who he's looking for on that team yet. Once again, next year might be a different story.
I think so. Yeah, I think they got some pieces.
Right now, they don't have, and clearly, Game 3 to me showed he already has an ear with them, because they came on and fought. Like, if they didn't fuck with him at all, they would have laid down in Game 3.
Yeah.
I think, he has an ear for them, which is why I think they end up showing up, and they show some fight in game 3, and even game 4, they showed fight. It just wasn't enough. Because Tanner said enough's enough. Scoring 16 in the fourth, like it was just enough. Was enough.
Speaking of game 4, a good transition to talk about sort of the final duo. I think we'll do the Jays at the same time, considering they both have 31 exactly in game 4, which is sick.
Great.
In a game where Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown both score roughly the same amount of points, and those points are a lot of points in relative basketball terms, the Celtics will win that game. I will bet my left and right testicle on that fact. If they're both scoring 25 plus, we've won the game. That's as true as the day is long, in my opinion.
So to back that up with actual factual evidence for you, the Celtics are now 22-1 when both the Jays score 30.
I'm genuinely surprised at that one.
95% winning percentage.
The one was in the finals, right?
Yeah, I think it was in the finals. Yeah, the highest in NBA history, by the way.
Yeah,
highest winning percentage.
Yeah, I mean, what we have on our hands here, guys, and like, you don't want to get too carried away. You don't want to be a jinx. You don't want to be this. You don't want to be that. When we first started this podcast, all of us were just throwing Hail Marys of hyperbole just to see. And I know we've all calmed down a little bit, but if we're being honest, if we're really being honest, this is the best duo since Shaq and Kobe. It just is. I mean, statistically it is, and on the eye test it is. The fact that everybody, myself included at times, said that their games are too similar. He's not going to want to do this. He's going to want to do that. It's redundant. Why not go get this guy? I mean, I was guilty of it myself a couple of times because it's against conventional wisdom, These two guys play so fucking well together when they're on the court at the same time. And in reference to what you were just saying about the Hawks showing some fight, you can show as much fight as you want. When Tatum's hitting threes at will, it's what are you supposed to do? Like, you must be Trae Young just being like, because Trae Young was having a good game, a borderline great game, and he was doing it.
He had 35 and 15 last
night. When Tatum does that little sway at the top of the 3-point line, and every Boston fan goes, he's shooting it. And there's literally nothing
every Boston
you can
fan,
do,
everybody on the court says,
everyone
I said this last show. The exact thing I said, Bobby, was, you weren't here for it, but the exact thing I said was, I used to get mad at Jason Tatum for the fact that I always knew when he was going to shoot, and that meant the defender always knew when he was going to shoot. But now, I always know when he's going to shoot, and the defender always knows when he's going to shoot, but it doesn't matter.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Fucking goes in. And the thing is, I always remember 08, and I know we reference 08 a lot around here, but when you're talking about winning fucking rings, it's going to come up, especially when you're doing a Boston sports podcast, right? In 08, there was moments where Ray Allen would have it in the corner, or Paul Pierce would do a step back, or KG would do a turnaround, where before it left their hands, you're not even watching the arc, before it left their hands, you know what's going in. You just know. And Tatum is finally really this season starting to do that, even more so now in that game 4. You guys we were in our group chat in game 3 when Tatum missed that 3. And all I said was, and I do think this is true, if you're going to be that guy, you got to hit that fucking 3. It's wide open. You want to be that dude, you got to hit that 3. Yeah. How does he respond? What's his quote in between the two games? That's on me. That's what I want to hear. That's on me. I got to fucking hit that shot. I got to play good. I got to win us that game. What does he do? 31 in your fucking eye, right? And his buddy. And his buddy. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think you hit in a game, like a game that mattered, because he's done in the All-Star game. But in a game that mattered, I've not seen him hit a 3 that deep. And I was like, I didn't think that he had the legs to even get.
That was so dope. That was unbelievable, bro.
I was like, wow. So he put him. I was like,
that was
especially because Trae pulled up from there. Trae pulled up from there and missed right before.
The logo.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
He pulled up from there and missed, and it was like, who is that dude then? You know what I mean? Jason fucking Tatum. Yeah, and like, look, I was a little concerned when the mask came off for Jaylen, because I'm like, no, ride with the mask. Rip Hamilton. Don't do it. It's don't change the juju. I don't want to. But he's like, fuck it. The hand is obviously still bothering him. It's very clear that he's playing through that. I wanted him to get more days off for that reason, but, fuck, man. If you can play the minutes you're playing, like, and put up what you're putting up, like, you're
playing 42. Pain, right? He played 42 in game 4.
But he's playing through the pain, right, Bob? I mean, we're not super concerned about that hand going into the Sixers series.
No. Especially if they close it out. So yeah,
like you just said, if you're out on the court, you're playing those minutes, man. You're playing those minutes, and you can't be concerned with that, especially with Jaylen too. When you're, the thing that people always center around is his dribbling, and his dribbling through traffic. And I think that he proved in game 4 specifically. There was 1 or 2 drives where it looked a little shaky, but he was able to get himself out of there and make a play. I think one of them specifically was to dump down the Rob in the last couple minutes, right? So, I mean,
what the problem is with his dribbling?
Awesome.
The problems that he's really had with his dribbling is he's too fucking fast. He's so fucking athletic that, like, you have to have handles to keep up with that. You know, like, he always gets it caught under his feet because he's like about to explode or like make a play. I think he's slowed down a little. I think he's like, you know, they're all helping him out. They're all helping each other out with different aspects of their games. You know, you're talking about Derek White taking a Marcus Smart style charge. Jaylen Brown's playing Derek White style lane splitting. You know, like he's slowed down a little bit when he's going into those lanes. He's taking a little bit off the gas so he can dribble a little bit more and calming down a little bit more. And also, I mean, in game 4, he was going up with his left hand, fully contested, falling away from the fucking basket, making huge and one layups, fucking getting pumped when he's on the fucking ground. I mean, the dude's locked in, you know, like mentality wise, they're all there. And I think these two guys, there's always been this conversation, this meta conversation of like, who's the leader? Who's going to be the main dude? And then you see Marcus Smart wave off Jaylen Brown and go dunk it on fucking Bogdanovich in the third quarter. And it's like, nobody. This is a republic. These are the founding fucking fathers, and everybody's about that life. So like, let's go. You know, it's like who's got the last thing to say? The guy who's playing the best, the guy who's doing the thing. You know, it's kind of why Grant Williams sticks out like a sore thumb. I will admit he had a better game 3, but what happened in game 3? We fucking lost. So maybe he shouldn't fucking be out there.
And then he played 56 seconds in game 4.
But that's what I'm saying, bro. You know what the fuck's that guy doing out there?
56 seconds.
Sucks. Anyway, whatever. We're not gonna do a Grant Williams piece because I had about fucking. They gave me nicely. Ray led off the last one and gave me a good soapbox to fucking tee off on Grant Williams. Then what happens in game 3? He comes out and like hits a bunch of threes. I'm like, that's just the fucking jinx that I gave. Yeah, it's coming back around. Don't worry.
I mean, but
so
it's every time.
Of course,
it doesn't matter who says it, right? Any time we get on a player, whether it's a Celtics, whether it's somebody else,
they go off every time.
It's guaranteed.
Still fucking lost though. So
yeah, right. It was like them.
So but looking at these,
we're getting 14 for him though. Look out.
So that actually leads me to a question here is. So game 4, obviously a must-win game. They put all their eggs in the game 4 basket. 7-man rotation, essentially. So
yeah, but I like the next highest. Shorten the rotation last year was what got us success.
Is that sustainable to go the entire way? We're going to need Hauser, Muscala, Williams, and Pritchard to at least play 1 or 2 games where they play significant minutes, right? That 7-man rotation can't be sustainable throughout the entire playoffs.
So, and I know we haven't talked about this guy much because he's been on the sideline. I think the further they go, I think there's a chance Gallo comes back. I know
that'd be so beautiful,
sick.
Man.
Yeah, I know it's been a mission thing all year, and will he do this? But the further they go, I just think even if you give 10 minutes from him,
10 minutes. I was just going to say 10 minutes from him.
I think would be
those Hauser minutes. Honestly,
that's what I was just going to say.
Minutes.
Yeah, man.
I don't mind Sam Hauser.
He's such a liability on defense.
I don't think he's as bad as you think. I really don't think he's as bad as you think. I think 90% of the league gets switched 1-on-1 to Trae Young, and they're going to get fucking burned. Al Horford was getting burned. You're not calling him a fucking liability on defense, right? Those are bad switches. I don't think Hauser's a great defender. I don't think he's as good of a defender athletically.
He does enough. Yeah,
I do. I really do think he does enough. And
he gets in the way.
I'm on motherfuckers the hardest for not playing the right kind of defense. Like that's exactly the kind of shit I'm all over. I think Sam Hauser's had a few moments where people treat him like he sucks at defending, and he's come up. So he's had moments. Missoula pulls Pritchard and doesn't play Pritchard at all during these fucking playoffs. Why? Because he is a defensive liability because of his size. He just is, especially in a fucking situation where you get, as we go deeper into the playoffs and you start getting elite bigs. And
he's scrappy. Stuff.
Fucking script. Dude, are we still doing this Peyton Pritchard thing, Bobby? Really? Whatever. We're not doing a Peyton Pritchard section on the show. We're not doing a Peyton Pritchard section on the show. He was dead to me that day. He came out and he was like, "I need more minutes." I'm like, "Bitch, you're trying to win a championship.
Yeah,
shut the fuck up,
bro."
Yeah, no. Trust me, I'm with you.
Agreed. I'm with you.
I mean, you were the one that you sent me the link, Ray, and you were like, "Trade him." I was like,
I would have traded him.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to win some shit around here, dude. We're not like maybe this guard is good. Like, cool. Of course, the last time I talked shit about him, he literally had 31 the next game, but whatever.
Triple double.
I'm not even
Didn't
joking.
he have a triple double the next game?
I'm not even joking. It's crazy. Wait, hold on. Let me actually do it. Jason Tatum sucks. He needs to improve. Jaylen Brown sucks. He needs to improve. All right, cool. Game 5 is going to go great. So So yeah, anyway, just to finish everything off, we did a little bit of a touch on this, but we do actually need to preview the 76ers series a little bit because it's happening. It's happening. The Atlanta Hawks series is over. Thank you guys so much for coming. I'm so happy for you that you got front row seats to the best team in the NBA to play some basketball. And maybe you learned some lessons about, how to fucking ball out in a big situation. Also, if I could give anybody on your team advice, it's Trae Young. You saw LeBron. Just give up on the hair, bro. Just give up on it. It's cool.
It's
just
toast.
It's fine. It's done. You look like an old steel worker with that fucking haircut. You got to shave that.
At least get a haircut so it doesn't look as like if you're losing your hair. There's a point where you can go short and it still kind of looks good. Yeah. But once you get long and you can see the gaps of your
also
in
not
that
for
long
nothing.
hair,
most of us can walk around without a bird's eye view of the top of our heads.
That's very
professional basketball. It's like it's gonna come out. It's not a good look. It makes you look about 20 years older than you actually are. But great baller though. I really do like his game. I sold all my stock on him because I just don't think he's that dude. But here it is. He kind of showed me. So the 76ers, we're going to play them. I know we usually fucking beat them, right? Like we always do. I would say if you took the role players, the supporting cast of the Atlanta Hawks and put them around Joel Embiid, that might be a better 76ers team. Would that be a crazy thing to say? I think the 76ers are Joel Embiid, and I think the people around him are terrible. And like we were talking about earlier, Ray, I'll start with you on this. As long as none of those other fucking bums can hurt us in a Miami Heat circa 2000 and LeBron, why the fuck is that guy hitting so many threes on us type deal? As long as those motherfuckers don't do shit, and we make sure PJ Tucker knows he's 75 years old, and we make sure that like none of these guys have anything to say about anything. And if James Harden has a good game, okay, he has a good game, but we're good, right? Like Embiid can do whatever Embiid's going to do. We just need to do our jobs.
Yeah. So it's Maxey and Harris. Those, I mean, I know people are going to talk about Harden.
Yep.
Like Tobias Harris.
I like Tobias Harris, to be honest.
Yeah, those are the two guys that you really have to keep at bay. If not, then like I said, it's going to be a more interesting series than we want it to be. Just like I talked about with this series in Atlanta, like if DeAndre, I think I kind of talked about a DeAndre Hunter game coming. I said that he's a guy that can get something if he's locked in. He was, I think.
Honestly, I like a lot of their players, the Hawks. Like,
yeah,
I like Clint Capella. I like DeAndre Hunter.
Okonkwo. I love Okonkwo, bro.
He's decent. I already told you I like Murray.
But they're not going to trade him, obviously. But no, but to preview this, I just think if you shut down, well, not even shut down, because like I said, Maxey might have a game where he gets 25. But I think that's going to happen. But you have to make sure that's only one game that happens, and not Maxey can't be what Derek White became this series. Because if he does, this shit's going something for sure. You got to make sure that you limit what's around them. Once again, the bench is not great for Philadelphia.
Yeah, we're so much deeper than them.
I think. Excuse me. I think if you put, like you said, if you put Atlanta's bench, so if it was Sadiq Bey, Bogdanovich, Jalen Johnson, and I think even Hunter, if you put them and traded and put them on Philadelphia,
bench, yeah.
I think that'd be an awesome surrounding cast around what Embiid is looking to do, because you would give him more shooters, which creates more space for him, and we know that he's a 7'2" guy that can put it on the floor and just give you crazy work whenever he feels like it, because the dude is that good. Needless to say, if you shut down Maxey, shut down Tobias Harris, you just got to make them non-factors. And if you make them non-factors, then this series should be over in 6 games.
Well, yeah, because I'll also say really quick, I know that Tatum and Embiid are buddies, off-season buddies. I know they run games and stuff in the off-season. And they sort of came up at the same time and all that shit. No friends, man. No friends, not in this playoff run. And I think that their attitude is exactly what I want to see from them so far. It's like, we're here to win a championship. We don't give a fuck about anything else. And I want to continue that through that series. But Bobby, preview this 76ers series for me.
Yeah, no, it's honestly exactly what Ray said, because beyond those guys, so yes, Embiid, Harden, Harris, Maxey, those are the 4. Beyond them, it's DeAnthony Melton, Paul Reed, George Niang, and Jalen McDaniels, and the corpse of PJ Tucker. So like, it's
Larry Curly Moe,
bro. It's unbelievable how much more depth the Celtics actually have than them. Like, even going down to 10, 11 guys deep on the Celtics bench would play significant minutes
So do you
this
want to extend the
Philadelphia
rotation against
76ers
them?
team.
I mean, you
I
said
would.
7 guys.
I would.
7 guys in Atlanta.
No,
Maybe even just for the early
you have
games.
to, though.
Yeah, and when it comes to, like I said, it's just you match up so much better against the bottom of their bench than the rest of the lineup. Like, it's such a discrepancy when it comes to what we have versus what they have beyond those top 4 guys, because the top 4 guys are bona fide all-stars, all 4 of them, for sure. But beyond that, there's literally nothing. Like, if this was NBA 2K, it's all guys in the 90s and upper 80s, and then a bunch of guys in those mid 70 ratings. You know what I mean? That you're like, bro, who is this Joe coming off the bench right now?
Yeah, you know what? I forgot about DeAnthony Melton. I forgot they got him in the trade. I forgot about him. Shaq Milton as well was another guy that played well for them, last year. But I'm actually going to go on the limb and say that this will be a Blake Griffin series next week.
I was going to say, I really want to see Blake in the series. I really do.
Agreed.
I think that,
it's a no-brainer.
I think anytime that he gets a chance to stick it to Doc Rivers, I think he's going to, because of how that ended in LA.
I have a question about that when you're done too.
And that whole disrespect thing earlier in the year too.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? I also think that because he could take charges, he's another guy who's going to have 6 fouls to give if that's the case. And then, he played well against Philly all year, because they basically left the wide open. So he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna hit this jump shot from the corner, or
he did. He hit some fun fucking threes against Philly in the regular season.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he's a willing passer. We know that from his LA days when he was in his prime.
Didn't he have 6? He had 6 in one of those games, didn't he?
Yeah. I think it was the one that was here, the last one that was here.
Yeah.
He did something. He had
I also really want to see him get some minutes, because it would be a really cool bonus if we win a championship to get Blake Griffin his first championship. Like, I think that would be really cool. Like, it's just
for sure.
And I want him to have played. I want him to have contributed, like actually contributed. And I think he can.
I mean, he already has, but yes, I get what you're saying. Like, in the postseason, it would matter.
In the postseason, I mean, we have to shorten the rotation in the postseason, especially as we go deeper.
Yeah, but
we're really going to lengthen it in the next series, probably. Like, we shortened it on this one, I think, to just try to get the job done. But as we go, we'll shorten it. I mean, I'm not 100% sure I'd like to see him in the finals if we're playing the Nuggets, and I think Blake Griffin should be in a suit at that point. But it's...
I mean, I think all the bodies you could throw it, if that was the case, if we got there, like we played...
I don't know if that's how you defend Jokic, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's throwing bodies at him. I think it's...
I mean, you need all fouls, because like I said, he's going to get whatever. So
sure, but like... I've been
passes
like,
so much out of the post, man.
I know, but
that's ridiculous.
But hear me out on this. If Joe Mazzulla wants to like take a Skype call, I've been thinking about this really late at night as I fall asleep. It's about cutting off the guys that received the pass with him. I think
so the cutters.
There's nothing you can fucking do about him. There's nothing you can do about him. But what you can do is 2 things. 1, you can exploit the fact that defensively he can sometimes be a liability, and 2, if you move quick enough. And 2, you can cut off his options, right? Yeah. Cut off his options and do exactly what we're talking about with Embiid. It's like, go ahead, get 40. Get 40. You're not getting 10 assists. You're not getting 7 assists. You're not getting 4 assists. Like, fuck that. Yeah. So I think that's the way to do it. I mean, listen, we're talking about developing nuclear fusion here. It's something nobody's been able to figure out. He's won the MVP twice, but it's and that's obviously a conversation for another day. But my question to you guys is, Philadelphia versus Boston looks like the 99.9% probability. If you want to put money on the Atlanta Hawks to win the series, I guess you hate money. Who has the better coach going into that series? I'm very concerned about Doc Rivers' ability to draw up plays from the inbound, but otherwise, I don't know. I feel like maybe we got something here.
I think Joe has more of a voice. This one's for Mike,
by the way.
Joe has more of a voice, to be honest. If we're talking about the motivation factor, and I honestly think Doc is a series loss away from being out in Philly. And I think that the team can feel that. I think everyone in Philly can feel that. So I think when it comes to the voice that they have in the locker room, I think Joe has a better grasp on the Celtics locker room than Doc does on the Sixers. In terms of experience and in gameplay and reacting to the moment, I mean, it's not close. Doc Rivers is far and away better. But that might not be what matters when it comes to a playoff series. A short 7-game series. I'm not sure if that's what matters. So we'll see.
Right. Yeah, I mean, experience-wise, of course.
Resume-wise, sure, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, once again, as I call it, ears to the street, ears to the team. Like, yeah, of course. I think Mazzulla has more of a presence right now, as Bobby just mentioned. But and he better lean on that, because once again, we saw, we've seen Doc Rivers get it done. We've seen him have great coaching performances. Yes, it doesn't matter if it happened years ago. It's the fact that it still happened. Because once again, he's gotten to 2 finals. He's gotten to multiple conference finals. So this is not something. He's not a scrub-up coach, regardless of what others have said on this show.
Hey, Mike.
Like I said, I mean, me and him and I have gone back and forth. Excuse me, on the air, off the air about that, and that's fine. But once again, I've never claimed for Doc Rivers to be the greatest coach of all time. That's not what I'm saying. To me, I'm just not going to sit here and dismiss what he's been able to do. And once again, other coaches have had phenomenal talent and never got it done. So I think about Scott Brooks. I think about Frank Vogel. Mark Jackson. Yeah. So I mean, let's
big time Mark Jackson.
Yeah. No, I mean it's real. I mean, even though he helped set up with that
true.
happening, but you know what I'm saying. So it's a real thing. So just because you have the quote unquote talent, doesn't mean that you're going to end up winning, the series. So or multiple series. And once again, it's hard to win a game in the playoffs, let alone a series. So. Sure. I expect it to be, like I said, closer to what people think as far as the coaching matchup goes, but I will still give that slight edge to Doc Rivers right now. And yes, once again, I would love to be the reason why he's unemployed. I would love to.
He's gonna have a voice. Make him lose his voice and his job by the end.
Lose
the voice.
The voice has been on its way out for.
The voice is
about the way it's. And to think that he was an announcer for ABC at one time.
Bro, his voice is just always coarse. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, but it's like, what happened? But even hearing like old press conferences, like I remember watching the Bird and Dominique. Oh, the 88 series when Bird and Dominique went against each other. They actually interviewed Doug after the game, but I'm just like, well, what happened? Because he sounds perfectly normal here. It sounded fine. So
probably not screaming the top of his lungs.
Yeah, I guess once again, maybe Dominique was the one yelling at everybody, and I get that because he was the best player on the team. So maybe that's what it was. But I'm just like, wow, like I'm like, what happened between, what you were in Atlanta and New York and San Antonio, so you becoming a head coach? Maybe it was the head coaching that got his voice to eventually be like that. So
gets loud in the garden, man. Gets fucking loud. You got to try to rise above it.
I'm not going to lie though, and I'm sure you guys thought the same way because we're all cynical in our own way. I'm not going to lie. When I saw that Embiid went down for Game 4, I said, "Oh my God, Clinton has a chance to fuck around and come back."
No, come on. No, I didn't feel that way at all.
No,
that fucking team shouldn't even be here. They had a playoff record because they're 2 best players. No
one has blown more leads.
Just because of Philly, you mean? Yeah, I get it.
No, I'm saying I'm saying him. No one's blown more leads as a coach than him. Clippers.
They're bad though.
Clippers.
The Nets are bad, dude. The Nets are
Magic.
so bad.
Magic, right? He blew a big one. Wasn't he coach of the Nick Anderson?
Yeah, against Detroit, they was up 3-1, and Tracy McGrady was famous in that post game presser saying,
"Yeah, not Nick Anderson." I'm talking about.
It feels so good to finally get out the first round. Said it on the press conference, and then they lost the next 3.
That was when it was 5. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. But it's funny that never happened here. People can say what they want, but like Mike, that shit never happened here. Yeah, they had a bad record.
There was something in the air that year, though, right?
All right. It's in general though. His 8-9 years here. He wins the first year here. They had two terrible years back to back. Obviously, they go get KG, they win. He gets hurt. They lose to Orlando, go back to the finals. So, I'm just saying it happened everywhere else. It didn't happen here.
It's like Mike is here. It's like Mike is here, all right?
Everybody else is always here in spirit. All right, we're running out of time, but I have a yes or no question for you guys in regards to the previewing the Philly series. In the context of the fact that the Philadelphia 76ers have consistently, and most of the players still on this team, consistently gotten absolutely fucking daddied by the Celtics, the young Celtics, the baby Celtics, and now the adult Celtics. How do you think that Philadelphia is upset that they're getting Boston this early? Or do you think they relish the challenge? So relish or upset would be the 2 answers. Bob?
I think they relish it. I think they're ready for it.
Good for them. Ray?
They relish it.
Yeah, they can relish this fucking ass whooping. This has been Missing the Point. The Celtics are about to close out the Atlanta series. We're going to see Philadelphia in the next round. And we'll see you guys wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Are you passionate about saving the planet for future generations? Do you want to learn how to do it? If yes, then you need to tune in to the Nature Backed podcast. It's a talk show covering the changing world around us, from renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, circular economy, to ESG and social innovation. Don't miss this opportunity to discover how you can join the movement and make a difference. Subscribe to the Nature Backed podcast today on your favorite platform and get ready to be amazed.
Miles, are you ready to record our promo for Season 2 of the Wanna Bet podcast?
David, have you ever seen a grown man naked?
Miles, we're not here to quote lines from Airplane. We're here to tell people that Season 2 starts August 18th.
But I like Airplane.
I know you do, but Wanna Bet is a sports betting podcast. Each week we bet $1,000 on the NFL teams and games that we love.
Well, that sounds like fun.
It is fun. And last year you picked over 60% of your games correctly.
How'd you do?
We're not talking about that. We are telling people that they can find us every Friday. So no more movie quotes.
Roger.
Electricast.